And a good day, everyone. Welcome to the TV Ramble for this Monday, January 19th, MLK Day. Hopefully, you guys are out there, whether doing some volunteer work at local shelters, community centers, whatever that may be, excuse me, or taking the time to just reflect on the man who, what this day is basically honoring, a man who has not only changed not at the face of not only of our nation's history, but also world history in terms of his belief in nonviolence. Of course, following the belief of his mentor idol Gandhi, that is the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who fought for equal rights for both all Americans, he and many others, in terms of voting rights and having the same equal treatment that for all of us in this country blacks and whites can come. And obviously, I'm not going to get into a tangent, but obviously, where things are going right now in this country, there's no telling what. We're not as united as we would like to be, and even though there has been a lot of strides that have been made, a lot of changes have been made, but still, I think there's a lot of things that he would, if he was alive today, would say, we still got more work needs to be done. So let's take this moment to, as with all of you are home today, are off. I'm surprised I got off today from work, but anyway, use this moment to reflect and look back on what this man, what this day means, and for the man and what he set out to do for all of us, white, black, Hispanic, no matter who you are, what you are. Um, in terms of bringing unity within the world. So, anyway, let's look at the overnight numbers from last night. CBS, no surprise, won the night with 31.6 million viewers, followed by ABC with 3.8 million viewers, then NBC with 3.5, and Fox with 3 million viewers. So, wasn't much going on except for a certain two football games. And let's start right there. The conference championship games. Unfortunately, CBS was kind of hoping they wanted to get that matchup between Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. But of course, the Colts and Andrew Luck put a little wrench into that last week and last night, as many would have expected. At least they expected a close game, but at least a game that would be a little more entertaining, a little more competitive. But it was pretty much over by the beginning of the second half, and that the Patriots had it well under control. So anyway, those numbers right there for that game. CBS did about 24.2. So of course, all these are just quick overnight numbers that I have for both games. So obviously, that's going to make significant adjustments. I believe will be a little bit higher than that in terms of viewers, but in an average of 24.2 households were watching the game. So percentage. So once the final numbers come out, I'm guessing at least about maybe 40 million viewers. I'm throwing it out there, a number who saw this game. So I would say that's very good for CBS, even though it was pretty much a blowout. So between the Pats and the Colts. As far as the other game, which is often tends to very would underrate the late game on conference weekend, since the NFL decided to change the times. And this is going back with 2003 or two, if I'm correct, when they decided to push the times back instead of the usual 12:30 and then 4 o'clock for the other game. Decided to push it back, make it 3 o'clock for one game, and then the late game gets the prime time slot just to increase ratings. And I think that was probably the beginning, in a lot of ways, of the NFL's slow, which I mean, it's always been popular, but I think that was really one of the reasons the league became even more popular than it is right, even more so now, by moving these conference championship games to a later slot and even the playoff games to a later time start, so more viewers can tune in and watch. But in any event, 24.2 million viewers for the Patriots and Colts game. For the Fox game, which was a very entertaining game between Seattle and Green Bay. Green Bay was in the lead. Many, and like myself, I was starting to get ready to turn the TV and switch over to CBS to watch the other game. and then things slowly begin to change. So all of a sudden, the Seahawks scored 3 times within the last 5 minutes of the game, 5 or 6 minutes of the game, and then of course the game went into overtime. And then of course on the final pass, Russell Wilson to Kersey throws a touchdown pass, and all of a sudden pandemonium in Seattle, and the Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. So it was one of those games that you'll never forget, will live forever. It's one of those moments to be like, wow, what just happened? Just an incredible football game and a very entertaining game. So, but anyway, Fox did a 29.1 percentage of viewers who tune in the game. So I'm thinking they will end up being maybe about the same, maybe a 45, maybe 50 rating for that game. I'm just throwing numbers out there. If that's once the final numbers come out in terms of million of viewers, but 29.1 percentage of viewers average who tune in. So I think that's very, very good. And I think that it wouldn't, um, you know, and I think it looks good for this upcoming Super Bowl that we're going to watch coming up in 2 weeks on NBC. And of course, NBC is going to be promoting this game heavily with all of their talent from of course you got some of the late night guys, Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers are going to be out there in Phoenix. You're going to have, of course, the Today Show will be there for the entire week, starting next week. Uh, you're going to see a lot of promotion. A lot of the stars are going to be out there, promoting NBC, and of course also NBC News will have staff members and a couple of their correspondents out there. Of course, Brian Williams will more than likely anchor his newscast from Phoenix, as well as Chuck Todd and his crew of Meet the Press will be out there as well. Right now, I don't know who's going to be interviewing the president. And of course, this has been a tradition that's been going on for some time now. During before the kickoff of the game, it's kind of look likely either will be Brian Williams or either Lauer will be doing the interview. Who knows? So we will see. But anyway, those are the numbers for the last for those two conference games. Again, once the updates come in, whether later today or early or sometime tomorrow for the both the conference championship games, we'll have those numbers posted out to you. But I'm guessing that both games did very well. So, anywho, on to last night. Scorpion, of course, they had the primetime slot um, right after the game on CBS, and not a surprise that Scorpion did about close to maybe a 15, about 20 million viewers. So again, these are fast overnights. Excuse me, I take that back. They did about 13 million viewers. So again, these are fast overnights. They will change probably immediately once the numbers come out. But still, I'm thinking that it did very well for its time slot because we're talking about a very popular show that has gotten a lot of eyeballs, and that's why CBS has done this before. They did it with The Mentalist, they did this with Hawaii Five O. They've done it with a couple other shows. So to get that slot after whatever network gets the late game slot on Conference Sunday, usually is going to be a huge benefit to them. So um, look for I think those numbers to adjust it to a little bit higher. So also Catherine McPhee, interestingly enough, sang the national anthem at the Seahawks Packers game. And of course that was a Fox game, and she was not singing the national anthem at the game that CBS had between the Patriots and the Colts, which kind of scratches my head, wonder what was that about. But oh well, it is what it is. So also coming up today, being Black History, being MLK Day, MTV has decided to air their network in black and white for, I guess, is sort of to bring, for the reasons who knows, but I think is a reason to bring sort of a dialogue between just a dialogue between blacks and whites, and also sort of kind of see how far we've come. And I remember MTV has done some of these little these little town hall meetings about race relations in America, and where we stand right now. And now we have a black man in office, and Barack Obama, um, where are we? Where are we as a country right now? Is it getting better? Is it worse? Is it gotten better and worse with a black man in office? Where are we as America? Can blacks and whites live together? Can we sort of continue and to remain, united, or are we divided? So it's an interesting thing that what MTV is doing today. So if you get a chance to look at MTV having their entire network air in black and white, so I say take a look at that. Um, Also, getting back to football, CBS and NFL. This happened late yesterday, or early Saturday, or late yesterday, decided to extend their deal with the NFL for one more year for Thursday Night Football, which means that CBS and the NFL Network will simulcast the first 8 games, which this year kind of worked out. Some of the games were not that competitive; all of them were pretty much blowouts, but still they did help propel CBS to win Thursday nights, even though by a bare margin. But and I'm kind of surprised that there were very little any other networks were out there trying to uh, compete or even make a bid into airing these games. So it's kind of very surprising about that. So go figure on that. But I think it's good for CBS. Of course, they said it helped their network, which I think it did. Obviously, when you have sports, you want to target male audiences, and what better way to do it? Football, basketball, college football, whatever it is. And there were a lot of eyeballs for some of their new shows this year, whether it be NCIS Los Angeles, NCIS New Orleans, Scorpion, as I mentioned. You got Stalker, and even some of their veteran shows like NCIS Los Angeles, The Big Bang Theory. Um, some of the chats I've seen, people have posted saying that it will probably hurt The Big Bang Theory again, where it was on Thursday nights. Now they're gonna have to go back to Monday nights now. And then once their first 8 games are done with CBS's and the NFL Network, then they'll move back to Big Bang Theory. It didn't hurt them this year. I think the show is still popular. I think it's still a good show, a very entertaining show. I try to catch as much as I can, and I think it's a benefit to me. But again, like I said, I'm surprised that no other network decided to make a bid on it. So, oh well. Also, going on, there's this new in we were mentioned this yesterday. We've seen that the with the success of Sound and Music live on NBC, and then this past year we've had Peter Pan live. Now all the networks want to jump on board. Now I mentioned that yesterday NBC is going to think about doing a live version of The Wiz, sort of a based on the movie and the stage play, which is also those two are also based on the original Wizard of Oz. But The Wiz and the play and the film was more geared towards I would say black audiences, maybe a different version. Um, so of that. So, but they're going to do a live version, NBC coming up possibly, which will air at the same time around Christmas time, and with some of the stars who are involved in it, and no one knows yet who signed on to it. But anyway, getting back to Julianne Hough of Dancing with the Stars fame, as well as Vanessa Hudgens from the High School Musical films as well, are going to star in a Grease live version coming next January 31st, 2016 on Fox. So I guess Fox decided to jump on board, and with the success of both Peter Pan and Sound of Music, Fox said, "Hey, let's do this." And now NBC going to do the Wiz uh, live version of that play and movie. Um, we'll see how it works out. But I just say we all know TV and everything's all copycat. If he can do it, then we can need to do something like this. Hey, there's a new game show. Hey, let's follow this. Whatever happened to originality? Whatever happened to that? There's just so much. So very little creativity going on in Hollywood right now. But hey, it is what it is. So outside of that, really not much else going on in the world of TV. But what I will go back to but another thing I want to say, as I mentioned last week about streaming. Again, if last week we had the Golden Globe Awards, and of course all the success with Transparent, Jeffrey Tambor winning an award for his performance, and then of course you have Kevin Spacey winning an award for House of Cards. Transparent, it runs on Amazon Instant Video, um, and of course House of Cards is on Netflix. Two original series, and and now Amazon is going to be talking about possibly doing original movies. Look, this has been mentioned many times before, and I'm going to keep harping on this. Look, streaming is the way to go. We're all living busy lives. We're all living very fast-paced lives, children, things like that, and you want to watch the show at a certain time and say, hey, all the shows are on. Let me watch 1, 2 episodes right here, or 3, and then I can stop and go back to it maybe sometime next 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and then catch up on this. This is going to be the wave of the future right now, as we saw with cable television going back in the 70s, as we saw with so many different inventions, home video, how it was going to hurt the movie market, then we've seen it with, the advent of high definition television, any different technology, new technology coming out, this is pretty much the wave of the future right now. And with the success of those two shows, as well as Orange is the New Black, which runs on Netflix, now Amazon is going to be doing some producing original movies. So for their Prime Instant Video and their theaters. So I think I look forward to what they're going to offer, what they're going to have. I'm someone who, you know, I pay eight bucks for Netflix. I'm paying about 8 for Hulu right now. I said, hell yeah, why not? I like to see something new and fresh and different once in a while, and even at a reasonable rate. So, I think this is great. And in terms of what content they're going to be offering, we'll see. So it's like the shock that people had with Netflix and House of Cards. We'll see what happens here with this new video. Doing original movies on this. I think Crackle, if I'm correct, I think produced Crackle is another streaming site famous for Jerry Seinfeld's comedians having coffee comedians in cars having coffee, whatever. I think that's the title of his show. We to get pick up some comedian and they'll sit down and drive around in some spiffy old style car, new car that he has purchased or that he owns, and they will sit and talk about being comics and getting their starts, whatever. But anyway, the streaming site Crackle, which I think is operated by Sony. I think they put out an original movie about a year ago, this past year. One or distributed movie, I should say. Um, One that has Danny Glover and Sean Astin. Um, and it was some Navy SEAL, some commando type, action film, which I saw and I thought was pretty good. So, but again, this is just the wave of the future, what we're seeing right now. So I think people, hold on, stay tuned. Things are starting to change. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll have the quick overnights of the other of the two football games. Also, um, we'll also look at the overnights for tomorrow and see what's the latest on that. So, thank you for watching, and remember, keep watching TV.